This program is intended for mature audiences. Parental discretion is advised.
Hey, what's up, everyone? Welcome back to another episode of the Pop Culture Podcast. I'm back online. My internet is all fixed. Of course, last week we had some fun-loving morticians on. I really wanted to be a part of that conversation, so we're going to have more morticians on this week. We've got Dr. Death himself. I don't think we'll ever have anybody named Dr. Death again, so he's also Mike.
That's good. I'm unique. I'm one of a kind.
There's two Mikes. They're both Mikes, so I'm glad that he chose a different name, to differentiate the two. And of course, Mike is back from last week. He was a guest with Clarissa.
Yes.
My question is to Dr. Death. I'm just going to refer you as Dr. Death because
Doc is fine. Yeah, Dr.
Doc is fine.
Good. Yeah.
Doc is fine. How long have you been a mortician? I know Mike said that you're kind of an old school mortician.
I don't use the word old. I use experienced.
Experienced.
Yeah. 34.
You're
years.
old when you refer to yourself as experienced.
Yeah. Thanks. 34 years at the same place.
Okay. So I asked Mike this question last week. There's a story that I remember when I was a kid, back 80s, 70s or 80s. There was a Milwaukee area female mortician. I don't know if she worked for the city or she worked for a funeral home.
Right.
It was found out that she was collecting genitalia from
testicles.
Testicles. Do you know that story?
Oh, I do. And she wasn't a funeral director. She was actually, I believe, a medical examiner.
Yeah, that's
if I remember correctly, and she was collecting. I don't know if she was trying to put something together, but she was collecting male body parts.
Okay,
I don't know whatever happened to her. I don't know if she was ever arrested or if it just kind of got swept under the table.
Yeah, I remember when I was a kid. I remember that story. We were just talking about that with Dr. Destruction, the horror host show that I produce. He made a joke about her, and he said, "Yeah, she had a lot of balls." that joke went over really well.
Yeah.
But I'm glad that I not crazy. I know because I remember it. It was the 70s or 80s, wasn't it? Probably the 80s.
Yeah, it was. It was before I started in the business in about 87, so it was before my time.
Okay.
But I've heard stories about her. I can't remember her name.
Can I take a stab at why she may have done this?
Sure.
Yeah.
I know that crayfish and crustaceans like to eat meat off of stuff. So in the old days, they used to put just so medical students could see the ligaments and tendons, they used to put stuff in crab traps, and it would pick it clean but leave what they needed to study. So maybe she was doing some sort of work where she was doing what does that called when you get snipped?
Neutered?
Yeah, a vasectomy. Maybe she was doing something where she needed to study and put him in the Milwaukee River and let the crayfish pick it, and then this is the thing you burn?
Maybe. I'm going to go that she was just batshit crazy.
Yeah.
That's more likely.
I'll double that. Yeah.
I don't know if she was, into the scientific research of vestibular.
Well, if I was her lawyer.
That's word. Yeah, if you were a lawyer, that's what she did. She was just researching for the betterment of mankind.
Yeah.
Or how about if you think you're poaching somebody's crab trap and you pull up a big jug of just ball sacks?
Yeah, but the way I heard that story, she just had pickle jars and mayo jars just filled with penises and testicles.
Yeah, just on shelves, and she was obsessed with it.
That's Milwaukee, though. Wisconsin is known for this. It's not unsurprising, with Jeffrey Dahmer and Ed Gein, and it's Wisconsin. I don't know. It must be the water. Who knows?
Wow. That's a Tinder profile you don't swipe right on when you see that in the back. Holy crap. Okay.
You just see these pickle jars full of penises in the background.
Roll the dice. Let's do it.
I guess we're not doing a Zoom call with that behind us, so it's not.
Yeah.
Mike is looking like, I'd swipe right on that.
Mike, they're not meatballs, Mike. You don't want to eat them, all right?
Yeah.
So I got to ask, this is for both of you guys. What drew you in? Why did you want to be morticians? It's, not something that I imagine kids grow up wanting to be. 10-year-old Billy, I want to be a mortician when I grow up. What got you into the whole field?
Go ahead, Mike.
I started out like in other fields, and because of sports, like my shoulders and my elbows were having problems. I had the surgeries and stuff, and I just needed to get into a different field. And I just happened to grab an MATC catalog and was going through it and saw mortuary science, and I'm like, huh. And I looked into it further and decided I could finish out, my time doing that, and that's why I got into it. Plus, it's helping people drives me, and it's a field where like everything you're doing is helping the family.
Right. Did it gross you out? Did you think that you could stomach it? Because I can imagine you guys see some stuff.
And like, there's maybe like a couple times I got like, a little disgusted. But most of all, like when you're doing this stuff, it's all science, and it's kind of like you're focusing on job rather than like, maybe the smells or what you see, and you're just focusing on what you have to do to complete the job, and kind of put it behind you.
Yeah, Dr. Smith, what about you? How did you get into the mortuary sciences?
I'll give you the short story. When I was in high school, I was interested in biology, chemistry, all that, the science stuff. I went to college and I was planning on being a veterinary doctor, animal doctor, and I found out it was much harder to get into vet school than med school. So after I bombed out of that, I had to pick a major. So the university I'd gone to offered mortuary science as a major, and that stuff has never grossed me out. So that's pretty much the short story. And I just went into it, enjoyed it, and Mike knows me good enough. Nothing grosses me out.
Nothing grosses you out? Do you ever see anything that bothers you that you take home with you? Like, I wish I wouldn't have seen that.
I've actually taken my work home with me. But that's for another podcast. No, actually the hardest thing for a funeral director, at least for me, was when I started and I had to do children, infants or children, especially after I had my own kids.
Yeah.
Before I had been married and had kids, I could handle them, but when I had my own kids, it kind of brings everything to light. That these are just innocent kids. They haven't even started their life, and those are the ones that you have a hard time doing. They're very emotional. Yeah,
one of the first paranormal investigations I went on. Well, I went on a house call. Mike, you might. I don't know if you were on this one, but this is when I first joined the last group that I was in. We went to a house. The family thought that the spirit of a little boy was still there. It turned out that this little boy was murdered a week ago by his father in the bedroom. It was a murder-suicide. The father murdered the boy. There was a custody battle. The father murdered the boy, and then himself in the boy's bedroom upstairs. And there was, still the outlines of the bodies there. There was blood splatter on the floor. There were.
I think Chris might be having a little bit of trouble. I don't know where he was going with that, but do you ever? Oh, okay. He's dropping out again.
Yeah, I don't know. My internet is now acting up. Go figure.
It must be the spirit of that little boy.
It must be. But anyway, yeah, it was a fresh murder scene, basically. Yeah. And this little boy was just murdered. And it was a difficult situation. Ultimately, we decided that the family was just looking for, they wanted it to be haunted so they could make some money. They were financial. So, I just want to point out how great it is to be a co-host when your partner is describing the murder of a child and you have to pick up the story and run with it. Like nobody could do it quite like Tom. So that's I'm very lucky.
Let's continue the story about dead children and
yes, sure.
Well, we're talking to Dr. Death. Come on, Mom.
Do you have a lot of police coming in to you? Because I know a couple times in our cadaver lab, we actually had police officers bring in bones, and our professor was like, no, that's a dog femur. You dug up a dog,
Nah, mostly the medical examiner handles a lot of that stuff.
Okay.
We don't see that end of the business. At least I haven't in
I was
34
at
years.
Shaker's. We filmed an episode at Shaker's Cigar Bar in Milwaukee, which is a haunted ghost bar. In 2000, I think it was 2001, the owner was refurbishing the deck outside, and he uncovered a body. It was a skeleton of a woman. The medical examiner said she'd been there for a good 70 years. They took the body, the medical examiner took the body, and they investigated it. And then a couple weeks later, they called Bob, the owner, and said, "Hey, come pick up your body." Like they didn't want it. Like they gave it back to Bob, like it's a piece of property.
It was on his land. It's his.
Yeah, it was his land. Yeah, and he paid for a funeral for this lady. It was a prostitute that was murdered back in the Al Capone days.
What happens if Bob would have said no?
I don't know. They just drop it off by his doorstep.
Was this in Milwaukee County?
It was in Milwaukee, yeah, Milwaukee County, Milwaukee City, Milwaukee.
The medical examiner would probably have taken over, and they would have contracted to one of the local funeral homes to give her, I'll call it a Christian burial.
Bob paid for it. I guess the woman, she was stabbed to death, and then in the bathtub she was dismembered, and then there's a fireplace. They tried to burn her. They couldn't burn her, so they put her in concrete outside on like this patio deck area, and she was uncovered in 2001. That's a big story at Shaker's Cigar Bar. It's a very haunted bar, very cool place. But
wow,
creepy
that's
story.
Gross. Yeah.
Oh, that Dr. Death thinks that's gross?
I think that's gross, yes.
Yeah.
Find a buried prostitute. I don't know.
Oh, I don't know what she looked like. I mean, she was encased in concrete, half burned and probably mummified. I don't know.
Yeah.
Maybe there are pictures out there. I'll have to ask Bob.
Not pretty.
No, I don't think so. Probably not. What's the worst thing you've ever seen?
Wow. Oh, boy. Good question. Accident, motorcycle victim. Just kind of torn apart. Just kind of visualize the wishbone where the two prongs going down are the legs, and just pull that apart. And that's kind of what he looked like.
Holy cow.
Yeah.
And you can't really do like an open coffin for that.
I did.
You did?
It was a lot of sewing. His head was in pretty good shape. It was just the rest of them that didn't look so good.
Yeah, I've been to a few suicide funerals, and those have all been closed caskets. Yeah. I can imagine that's got to be hard to put that together.
Depends on where the method. I mean, if it's hanging, all you get is a little mark around the neck. If it's gunshot, again, it depends on where the gunshot is.
Yeah.
In the chest, not so bad. In the face, kind of hard to fix.
Yeah.
Do the body bags? I was going to ask if body bags are they still color coded for size?
Not that I know of.
I've seen white, black, and blue.
Yeah.
What about yellow? Yellow. Okay.
I haven't seen yellow.
No, never seen a yellow bag.
Okay, I thought yellow was for like really short people, and it went up from there.
No, I think the ones at the medical examiner, the blue ones are for the plus size people. Like
they have the extra handles on them.
Yeah.
That would be why.
If they're red bags, they might be contagious diseases. Usually that's marked somehow in red. But yeah, the black or the blue bags are usually, I'll use the word heavy duty.
Okay. I believe I had a professor that told us the yellow ones, she just didn't, even though she was really short, she didn't want to be seen carried out in a yellow one. She wanted the normal size one. It was just a weird.
Okay. Yeah, I've never seen a yellow bag. Never seen a yellow bag.
Maybe she just imagined it. Who knows?
I don't know.
Mike, what's the strangest thing that you've seen? You how long have you been a funeral director?
Let's see. I did my apprenticeship in 2014, and I got licensed in 2017.
Okay, so you're still kind of new. What's the weirdest thing that you've seen?
There's I guess he was a drunk guy that fell asleep on the railroad tracks, and he was cut in half. A lot of adipose tissue, and so I was at the medical examiner. I just got to see that, and I told the medical examiner, I said, it's kind of like the sun. You you know you shouldn't look, but you want to. And he's like, just give it 5 minutes, walk up there and take a peek. So I did, and yeah, I mean, it was cut in half.
You got to look at something like that. It's like a car accident. You can't not look at it.
Yeah, when we were filming that short film over by you guys in your embalming room, you told me that there was a body in the freezer that had skin. They donated skin. Part of me wanted to say, I just got to take a peek, but that's I know the laws, and
Yeah, well,
I wanted to look.
I was gonna say, Mike, 2 weeks ago we had a body in our funeral home that had been dead for 2 years, and actually mummified. No one
Where'd you pick
knew
that
about
up?
him
A
in his
medical
house.
examiner?
Yeah.
How
No one knew
was the
about
body
it.
found?
It gets like leather. It actually, because of the environment, it probably decomposes inside, but the outside, the skin gets like leather, and it's completely fine. I mean, you couldn't view him, but he wasn't like exploding all over the place.
Yeah, there was a story in Los Angeles last year. Whit Vickers, an actress, she was in Attack of the 50-Foot Woman. She was found in her home. She was kind of a lonely woman, but she was found in her home months after she died. This was in the middle of the summer in LA, so it was really hot and humid.
Yeah.
And she was found months after, so she was putrefied.
Yeah, they basically probably picked her up with a sponge.
Yeah.
There wouldn't have been much left of her if it's warm and humid. No.
Yeah, well, picture LA in July. That's pretty much what it was. Yeah. So, Mike, do you ever get grossed out or anything when you see that? Just turns your stomach, or?
I remember when we took a trip to the medical examiner. The one thing that grossed me out, like, I was fine, like there's watching the autopsies, but when they pull out the throat and the tongue is still attached to the bone, that was kind of sickening.
Oh, that's neat. That's good.
Jason Thornton wants to know. Jason Thornton wants to know how accurate Dan Aykroyd's performance as a mortician funeral director was in My Girl, film My Girl. You guys ever see that?
Oh man, I remember the movie with Macaulay Culkin.
Long time ago.
Yeah, how accurate? It's kind of like the HBO show 6 Feet Under. I don't know if people remember that show.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It's not. Being a funeral director is boring. It's not what it's cracked up to be. It's not all these great cases that come in. I mean, we do the same thing a lot. It's. I don't remember Dan Aykroyd all that much. I remember the girl, and I remember Macaulay Culkin, but I don't remember Dan Aykroyd.
I have to watch
I don't think I've ever seen a funeral director portrayed as we really do it in real life.
I was gonna ask if there are any movies or TV that nails it, gets it right.
Phantasm.
Phantasm?
No, I'm kidding.
I was gonna say
I'm kidding.
That'd be pretty amazing.
Yeah,
I think Afterlife with Liam Neeson and Justin Long and what's her? She was the girl that played Wednesday on The Addams Family. Whatever, Ricci.
Christina Ricci.
Yeah, I thought that was pretty. I didn't see any real flaws in it. Liam Neeson plays a funeral director. I won't ruin it. I won't want to spoil it, but it's worth seeing.
Yeah, I've never seen it. I don't think I've even heard of it.
Yeah.
Liam Neeson's usually in those action films where he's got to find his family.
Jason still has a question about the Big Lebowski scene. About how do you transport and how expensive and what's the cheapest way to get ashes? Or can you come with a Folgers can?
You can come with a Folgers can.
Yeah.
They'll allow that?
Yeah. There's no regulations as far as an urn goes. You can put them in anything you want to put them in.
I joked about them putting me in a 2-liter of Pepsi.
As long as we don't drink it, we're good.
Do you guys ever get requests for like those crazy Ghanaian caskets, like lobsters and beer bottles and things like that? Have you ever seen those?
No.
I haven't seen that.
No, you haven't seen that? You should look it up. Google it. Ghanaian caskets, like those dancing pallbearers. You ever get like that?
Yeah.
But just like dancing pallbearers. You seen those? You ever get
those?
Well,
not in person. I've seen them over like YouTube. But
yeah, so have I.
Yeah.
I think you should guys do that. Should do that as a service. I would want dancing pallbearers. I would totally dig that. I might have connections.
As long as there's some sort of waiver.
We're well known in Ghana. Tom and I are infamous in Ghana.
We're big in Ghana.
We're big in Ghana. So I can
So
get you guys caskets, if you want.
Canadian caskets,
You
yeah.
want them the shape of a Big Mac or a French fry, bottle
Nice.
of Coke.
So what are the laws pertaining to taking pictures of deceased people? Because I know in medical school they were very like, you can't take pictures of the muscle groups and everything, and you can't take pictures of dead bodies, but you'll see it on social media and stuff. Do you guys have to like say no taking pictures of, or how does that work?
Well, I'll go ahead. Nowadays, it's real common to live stream a funeral with the casket open right
Yeah.
there during the live stream.
Okay.
It's a whole different legal ballgame because this is a brand new industry for funerals with live streaming and getting permission to not only take pictures of the deceased, but other members of the family. Anytime you have a picture on the screen, you're supposed to have written permission that they are allowing you to videotape them. So if you're just doing a general videotape, you could have 50 to 100 people pass by that casket. That would be on, your tape. And once that live stream goes out there, it's out there for everybody. All they got to do is link into it.
I used to work for Walgreens, and I did the 1 hour photo. I was a manager, but I did the 1 hour photo too when I worked third shift, and I worked on the north side, and a lot of African Americans on the north side. All the time, we got pictures from funerals.
It's very common.
American thing. We got so many. At least once a day, I get a roll of film from some funeral. With a dead body. Everybody's posing with the body, and
well, Chris, like nowadays, everybody's got a camera when they have a cell phone.
Oh yeah.
Everybody has a camera. I've got 20 people taking pictures at funerals of their loved one.
Mm-hmm.
Where these pictures go after that, I have no clue.
Yeah.
But I don't stop people from taking pictures.
Do you ever
It's their family.
Do you ever have requests for like natural burials where people don't want to be embalmed?
It's rare.
I've done 1 or 2 green burials where we don't embalm. We just wrap them in a sheet and take them right to the cemetery. But it's not real common.
Okay. Did you guys ever see pictures of Gigi Allen's funeral?
Mm-mm.
You know who Gigi Allen is? Rock star. Died in the 90s. He had a natural burial. They didn't want him. The family didn't want the funeral home to touch him. They wanted. He's. Let me pull up a picture of him.
Okay. So it was are there any sort of religions that say no embalming, or
Jewish people? Jewish
Okay.
people don't go in for religion that I know of. I mean, any Muslim I've ever done, we've embalmed. But people of Jewish faith, they have a burial within 24 hours. They're not into the embalming.
Okay.
Mostly especially if they're Orthodox.
They're just quickly right into the ground. Boop.
Oh, wow.
That's Gigi Allen. Yeah, he didn't want to. The family wanted him buried just as he was found. He had he overdosed, and
Okay.
he soiled himself. So
Does it say eat on his belt line?
Yeah, that's what it looks like.
Yep. It's eat
wow.
shit. Fully. Yeah.
Okay.
But yeah, that's Gigi Allen. So if you want to go like Gigi Allen, shit yourself.
Yeah, I'll pass. Thanks.
Wow.
So Tom was in
Yes.
medical school, and Tom he was the fastest cadaver skinner in his
I got
class.
strong hands.
Class says. Do you guys, when you guys have donations, do you guys take that out, or like organ donations? How do you guys handle that?
We get it after it's all done, and then we have to sew it back up and embalm it. Yeah, it's a mess, but
that's what I was gonna say. It's a mess. They completely destroy the arterial system of the body, and it just takes a lot longer to embalm and to sew than a normal case.
yeah.
So when you're sewing a body, like, are you really good at it, or are you loosey-goosey? I don't want you to fix one of my live cuts.
No, we want the stitches to be tight, and we don't want anything leaking.
Leakage is bad.
Yeah.
So you guys are excellent stitchers.
You have
Most
to
of the
be
time.
because otherwise, it's going to smell, it's going to stain the clothing, And the last thing you want is a family to see like blood or anything like that, or smell a bad, body. I mean, you want to leave them with the best lasting impression of their loved one as possible. So you'll sew them up.
Okay.
I mean, you'll put them in plastics. You'll do everything you can as preventative measures to keep that from happening.
Oh, what type of things can go wrong that would be the funeral director's fault at a funeral? Would it be like leakage or?
Yeah, like, there's cranial autopsies, and if that head leaks, that's going to get blood all over the pillow. I mean, a family sees that. I mean, you're probably going to be giving them a free funeral.
Yeah, probably.
Oh.
So next time you go to a funeral, just dump a little ketchup on there. You'll get yourself a free funeral. So.
Right, that's
Yes,
good.
odor is horrible.
Or odor?
Odor is horrible.
Yeah.
People,
Accidentally.
I mean, if they smell something, that never leaves you. You will always
accidentally
smell that.
Yeah. Or if you accidentally drop a body during transport and the family sees that, I mean, accidents happen, but like, that's your loved one there, and if they see, something like that, they're going to freak out.
Yeah, that olfactory bulb goes through the hippocampus for memory, and that's got to stay with you. Like,
yeah, smell is really bad because it's nasty, and you'll never forget that smell.
What does a dead body smell like after a week?
I can't describe it.
Yeah.
It's probably. Have you ever seen on YouTube I think it's called the Stinky Fish Challenge.
Mm-mm.
If you YouTube it, do the Stinky Fish Challenge. It's some sort of gourmet Swedish fish. People actually throw up on. That's what a body smells like.
Yeah, yes,
you got it.
Yeah. I know what you're talking about. Yeah,
I've
seen that.
I've got a can of it. I can't wait to try it. But
yeah, some people say it's really good. Just don't smell.
Bust it open. Let's try it right now.
They say just don't breathe it. You gotta open it up outside. You can't open up indoors.
Yeah, that's true. You don't want to wreck your house. But a lot of medical examiners, police officers, they use Vicks in their nose to eliminate that smell. So when they go into a scene.
I saw that scene on Silence of the Lambs. They put Vicks under the nose
of
the dead bodies.
Yep.
Oh, that's fascinating. I don't know. I kind of want to smell it once just to experience it, but I don't.
There's a chemical called cadaverine. You can buy it on eBay.
Really?
It's supposed to smell like a dead body. It's what they use to train dogs to find bodies in rubble. It's called cadaverine.
That would be great to get as a prank. Somebody you don't like, just
I thought of doing that.
Drizzle it in their home. That'd be awesome. We need to do that.
I smelled it, but it's not probably as bad. We just had some cadavers where their veins and arteries didn't hold together. They were sent to us where it was decayed a little bit, and so we got some of that. It just wasn't too bad.
Yeah, Mike and I would pull that practical joke. We buy some of that stuff and just spread it around at other funeral homes. That would be rotten.
Where's the rim shot, right?
Wow, I gotta buy some of that. I'm curious now because I would totally do that. Oh, we lost Mike.
That's all right.
I'm glad he did that.
When you have to embalm someone, say you have like a gunshot wound in one of the major arteries, how do you embalm them when there's like a leak, basically?
You can embalm a body through 6 different arteries. You can go up each side of the head, the carotid, go down each arm, go down each leg. So you can divide the body into 6 separate parts, basically. So if there's a gunshot wound that kind of destroys one of the arteries, you can bypass it by just going up a different limb, different side of the head. If the gunshot wound's in the chest, you're really not gonna. I mean, if it goes through the heart, then you're gonna end up embalming each individual body part by itself because you're not gonna do anything with it.
Yeah. Oh wow.
Yeah, it takes longer. It's not as thorough as a regular traditional embalming, but that's about the only way you can do it.
Yeah. Then there's hypoing, and then there's topical embalming too.
What's topical embalming?
That's like a cream, like hexaphene, and it's got like embalming agents in it, and you can smear on the face or whatever parts didn't get firm. You can put that on, and over time it will embalm. It'll topically embalm that surface.
Right. It'll do the surface embalming, but it won't get the muscles underneath. That's where you
Yeah,
have to do the
so
hypoing.
hypoing is just with a needle, and you inject the embalming fluid in the whatever surface you need to, whatever muscle or.
Just like a COVID vaccination. Same difference.
Fascinating.
You don't have to hit an artery. You just
No,
do
you
the
can
muscle.
you can embalm right into the muscles. Yeah,
Really?
arteries will give you better distribution because the arteries and the capillaries will go everywhere. But if you got a part of the body that just didn't get it, you can just use a little hypodermic needle or a larger hypodermic needle and just do injecting into it. It'll firm it up good enough.
How can you tell, like say the thigh didn't get embalmed or?
It's not firm.
Yeah, firmness. You can
So
tell
it'll
right
just
away you can tell right away when you're embalming if you're using good chemicals. You can feel the firmness while you're embalming.
Yeah.
And you can see veins and arteries distend in the body when you're embalming because of the pressure. You know where your fluid's going.
Yeah. If you add a little dye to the fluid, you can also see the color.
Mm-hmm.
There would be a color change.
Whoa.
Yeah, that's fascinating. So how did COVID affect the funeral industry?
Wow.
Well, yeah, lots of ways. I mean, like even from like how many people can enter the building.
Oh.
Like, yeah.
I mean, I heard a lot of stories in, other parts of the country where bodies were piling up, especially in New York.
It happened here, but in a lot of our hospitals, I don't know, again, Mike, when we went to hospitals, you'd go to a morgue where they would keep the bodies, and there would be 12, 15 bodies in a morgue that normally has 5 or 6.
Yeah.
I'm thinking of certain hospitals, and I won't mention them, but the hospitals got hit hard. The medical examiner got hit hard. We saw our fair share of COVID deaths, but it was harder on the families than it was on the funeral directors. Because how do you tell a family that you can only have 10 people here? No, I'm sorry. I'm sorry you got 12 kids. Only 10 of them can show up for the funeral. How do you tell somebody that?
Yeah.
So you kind of just, you don't follow the rules. You just let them do what they want to do.
Yeah.
Has that gotten better now that there's vaccines out there? And
at least on my end of Milwaukee, yeah, we've slowed way down with COVID since the curve has been flat. I haven't had a COVID case. I may have had one this year, but that's it.
What's the youngest person that died of COVID that you had? Out of curiosity.
60. In the 60s. I haven't had any younger people than that, but and everybody that I've had was either very old or had some other underlying condition other than COVID.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's still sad. But,
seems to be COVID got the low-hanging fruit.
Yeah, pretty much. That's what it seems like.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thankfully, there seems to be a light at the end of the tunnel, at least. But didn't really want to get into COVID, but there we go.
Well, you got to. You got morticians. You got to see how it changed the.
Yeah.
There's worse things out there that we deal with than COVID. I guarantee you.
Oh yeah.
It's just COVID happened to be more plentiful. I don't know what the right word is. It happened to be everywhere. So, I don't know.
Hepatitis B, AIDS,
tuberculosis is bad.
MRSA.
Yeah, there's other stuff that we deal with. COVID is the flu on steroids.
What's the worst thing that you deal with?
Our boss. Oh, wait.
Yeah.
He's not watching, so it's okay. Worst thing we deal with? Wow. I'm going to say families. Families that are emotionally overcharged, especially if it's kind of a traumatic death. I mean, I don't know, Mike, I don't know if you've ever seen fights in the funeral home. We've had fights. Yeah, it's real common, especially if it was, especially if it was murder, something like that, where one side of the family doesn't want the other side of the family there.
No,
yeah. I've had knives pulled. Never seen any guns. And only thing you can do is call 911 because you don't want to get involved, unless of course you're Mike. Mike likes getting involved, but no, I don't.
I get involved. But it's just because I think I'm okay at de-escalation. I mean, plus I just don't want that stuff happening in the funeral home.
I was going to say, you're a funeral director.
I think
You
death
should
brings out,
escalate it for more business.
yeah,
Yeah.
death brings out the worst in people, especially family.
Yeah,
It brings out,
definitely.
it brings something out in people that just isn't there normally.
Yep.
So
Absolutely.
Yeah.
it's grief, you know. Everybody
Grief.
handles grief differently.
It's greed. It's
Yeah.
guilt. A lot of guilt. And everybody's looking for somebody else to blame when somebody dies. If it's an unnatural death, everybody's looking for somebody else to blame.
Yeah.
What's the weirdest death that you've ever seen? The
What's the
strangest,
what?
the
Strangest
weirdest
death?
death, the strangest death.
I'm getting old. It's hard to remember. Wow. Oh.
I can tell you one that my mom told me when she was a nurse at, this was back a long time ago at Milwaukee County Hospital before. It was,
Okay.
there was this guy that came in. He perforated something inside of his body. He stuck a bowling pin up his butt, and he died from that. That was the weirdest death that she ever saw. This full-size bowling pin up
That's
his
a
butt.
perfect 300. Ouch.
Yeah.
No, that's
I
picking
think-
up the spare.
I was going to say a split, but that would have been really bad. I think a number of years ago, if I remember correctly, we had a call, and it wasn't Milwaukee County. Somebody in northern Wisconsin had suffocated. It was the time when it was very popular to put a bag over your head while you were having sex.
Yeah, I was just going
Ooh, I
to
was
say.
going to say the David Carradine one.
Yeah,
we had
Michael
we
Hutchinson.
had a call like that, and the coroner, did sign it. He put the right cause of death on there. And I don't remember which county it was in northern Wisconsin, but it's not something the family wants to see on a death certificate.
No, yeah, that's how David.
I think
Carradine
it was
had.
called erotic asphyxiation,
Asphyxiation, yep,
something
yep,
like
that's-
that.
That's more common than you might think. David Carradine hung himself. He was masturbating in a closet. He hung
there
himself
you
with his
go.
belt. And Michael Hutchinson, the lead singer of In Excess, did it in the bathroom. He hung himself on accident.
And again, it was an accident because it wasn't meant to be a death, and they just got carried away, I guess is the word.
Yeah, I mean, it happens. When you're on the verge.
Apparently.
Go for the gold, I guess. Right, Mike?
Yeah.
You know what I'm talking about. Come on, Mike's gonna
I
hit
think
me.
the strangest ones for me are the ones that don't have an explanation. I mean, we had one kid that we did, and he was in a residential area, and he was going 100 miles an hour and smashed into a tree and died. But it's nobody can, nobody knows. Was it suicide because there was no note? Was he just speeding down, there for the heck of it? I mean, just being a kid, and so those ones kind of stick with you because it's you're way too young, and you're doing something so stupid, and you pay the price.
Hi, Missy. Yeah, that's got to be frustrating. Unexplained deaths have to be frustrating and hard on the family, not knowing the why.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Huh. What's the strangest unexplained death that you guys have dealt with?
Boy.
Yeah.
I mean, a lot of times when you get an older person, they just put natural causes as a cause of death.
Yeah.
It's okay, what is natural causes? They don't have anything wrong with them, and they died. Had no medical history, and they died. Natural causes. Okay. It's like the catch-all word.
Yeah, I've heard of some younger people that have died of natural causes too. They just can't find a reason. They just put natural causes.
It's a 40-year-old natural cause. No, a 40-year-old doesn't die from natural causes. There must have been something. But if they can't find it, if they do all the tests at the medical examiner and the autopsy, and they cannot find anything wrong with them, they really don't have any other choice but to put that down.
Yeah.
Unless they put down unknown.
The ones that blow my mind is you get a 96-year-old guy that passes away, and then there's a relative that wants an autopsy done. It's he's 96. To me, if I'm 96, even if I get murdered, I don't care. It's I lived to 96.
Well, I think sometimes people might want that to know if there's any underlying conditions for family history, like if they had disease or if they had something, hereditary inside.
This person, it was a 96-year-old, and what they wanted was to know if there was a surgery that went bad in the past. But it's still, you're 96. I mean,
that's a possible lawsuit then. So
yeah,
there's money involved. Tom has a story that he changed someone's death certificate, cause of death. Did you guys ever experience that, where you find something wrong with the body and you change a cause of death with a medical examiner? Tom, tell your story.
Yeah.
Where you got the cause of death changed.
He might be frozen.
He's frozen.
Tom is frozen. Well, anyway, when he comes back, I'll let him tell that.
No,
But did you
actually,
guys-
I've had more families want the death certificates changed because of the cause of death. When a doctor will put, like, I don't know, I'll put, like, cancer. They'll say, oh, my dad didn't have cancer. What's the doctor doing? And then they will put an inquiry in. But as a funeral director, I've never changed a cause of death. I've never inquired about one.
Yeah, the most we get to deal with is like maybe there's like an address wrong or something like that, and the family wants it changed. So we just, but we go through the right channels to do it. But it's never like cause of death. It's usually like misspelling of something.
Tom, are you back with us? Tom, can you hear me?
Can you hear us, Tom?
I can hear you now. I don't know.
Okay.
We're starting to get a little bit. So how many years of death school did it take before you went from Mr. Death to Dr. Death?
School.
Oh, I have a 4-year degree. I have a bachelor's. I'm not an official doctor, but I'm pretty close.
He's not a doctor, but he plays one on TV.
Yeah, I play one on TV, correct.
Request like a body part. Like, can somebody keep like their mother's finger or something? Because I'm only doing this because there was a guy who had he's got a bar where everybody takes a shot out of the toe. So it's like whiskey, and he keeps his toe that got frostbite. And now the guy died, but he willed his daughter the toe. So everybody who goes there, you can still get like this permafrost toe in a shot of whiskey. Can you get like, how would somebody keep their toe or something like that? And I'll try to bring the story up and send it to Chris.
Yeah, I got
don't-
a similar story.
Like maybe the guy was diabetic and lost his toe while he was alive and somehow kept it. But I don't
Sour
know.
toe
Like,
cocktail.
yeah, anybody that would die and then have a funeral director sever their toe, we wouldn't do that.
No,
So,
but like Mike's right. If you had a diabetic or a frostbitten toe and it fell off, it technically is your property. It is your toe. You can have it back, I think. Legally, I think they're obligated to give it to you.
There's a story I remember I read about this guy that he lost his leg in an accident or something, and he took his leg. He told the doctors he wanted his leg, or what was left of it. He demeated it, and he put some shellac on it, and he turned his leg into a walking cane.
Nice.
So, yeah.
Wow.
Oh, and there was another story just recently. There's this guy in Finland. His uncle died, and he willed him his skeleton. It was used for science, but the school shut down. So this kid got his uncle's skeleton back. His uncle was a real metalhead, so he turned his skeleton or his upper torso into a heavy metal guitar.
Nice.
Oh, wow.
Rib cage, spine. It was pretty cool. People do weird shit with bodies.
There are lots of weird people in this world.
I had my mom in the cabinet for a while. When she passed, we got her cremated. And she finally, when my dad passed, we got them both buried together. But yeah, I just had mom in the cabinet.
Yeah, my stepdad passed away about 20 years ago, and we had him cremated. And we were going to a birthday party after he passed away, and we had a bunch of presents in the trunk. Well, his cremation box was in the trunk, and we brought the presents in. We brought him in also with the presents.
Okay.
Nice.
So that was the last time that happened. No one opened it. I managed to figure it out. Yeah. Oh, look, you've got
Happy
ashes.
birthday, Billy.
Oh, nice. Yeah. No,
Occasionally
you
you'll
have
have somebody. Yeah. Occasionally you'll have somebody come in and they want you to get the gold out of the teeth.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
It's not worth anything. It's basically worthless.
Yeah, so you just tell them that if they want to, they can hire a dentist to come and do it, but it's financially their responsibility, and of course the dentist bill is going to be more than what the gold is worth.
Could they just pull it themselves with a pair of pliers if they wanted to?
I wouldn't have any problem with a family member pulling teeth. That's up to them.
As long as they sign a waiver or something,
Yeah.
and
Yeah, like if they do damage, like if they pull a teeth and they grab the lip and pull the lip off, well, I can't fix that. That's,
Yeah.
You've just wrecked your loved one here, and you can't be shown. So no.
Yeah.
I've never had a family want to pull teeth.
I would try to talk them out of it.
So back on like organ donation, what does a body look like after a skin donation? Because we were talking about that body that donated skin when I was shooting at your funeral
Yeah.
home.
Right.
On
So-
the back of the back of the body, the skin is all taken off the backside.
Okay.
I don't know if I've seen much on the front side. The front is just autopsied.
Yeah, we had one I don't know, about a month or so ago. Like Mike's right, they took the back off, but they took off so much skin they went down into the muscle layer, where there was
Yeah.
actually leakage out the back, because the skin is what holds all the odor and the and the fluids in. You take all the skin off, and they went down about an inch. It wasn't just the skin; it was the skin and the tissue underneath the skin. And they did the back, the front, and the thighs. They did a very thorough job.
Yeah.
Yeah, and again, the funeral turned out wonderful, just because
Yeah.
we had a very good embalmer doing it, so it turned out really good.
I mean, on one side, we appreciate what they're doing. I mean, they're giving their organs and skin to somebody that needs it. I mean, it's very important, but it is like a regular autopsy will probably take you like maybe 2 to 3 hours, where tissue donation can take like 4 to 5.
Right. And I differ from Mike in that, and because I don't appreciate it. It's just I don't know what they're doing with the skin or with the long bones. I don't know if they're using them in perfume or if they're using them in experiments, or what they're doing with them.
Yeah.
I don't know if they're for skin grafts or how they're using them, but
Could be
they
making soap.
really, there you go, soap. They really do a number on a body.
Yeah.
And you guys get paid the same. You guys get paid the same no matter how many hours you put in, right? You're like
I do, yes.
One flat fee. Yeah.
Mhm.
It depends. Some people get paid hourly. Some people are salary.
You get an extra, I'll call it an extra stipend from the Wisconsin Tissue Bank. They will pay up to like $400 or $500 for people that are donate their bodies. You just have to fill out the right paperwork. So it kind of, takes a little bit of the sting out of using the extra chemicals and the extra time. But that doesn't go to the embalmer typically. It usually goes to the funeral home.
Gotcha. What's the weirdest request you've ever had for a funeral? The strangest thing that you've ever come across, like request-wise, from a family?
Mine one, it's not that strange, but the guy wanted to be cremated naked. Like,
hey,
so he had a
That
full
isn't too
couch
bad.
funeral. No, not too bad, but I just why,
Missy just asks, do you cremate the casket? If not, what do you do with the casket?
Depending on what type of casket it is. There's rental caskets. Those you don't cremate, there's a cardboard container in them. And you can pull that out and put a new one in. But there are certain caskets you can cremate, though.
Any type of wood casket that has very little metal in it, most of the crematories don't want any metal whatsoever. So
Yeah.
a casket that's made entirely of wood, except for a few screws and parts in there that are metal, you can cremate the whole unit. It just takes longer.
Yeah.
Because I don't have a rental casket at the funeral home. We sell a full-size wooden casket, and especially if you're having a service. If it's a direct cremation, they go into a cardboard box. Nothing fancier than that.
Fascinating. Molly says, my grandpa was cremated and left him in the box. When my grandma died, they tried to put him in a matching urn, and they turned him into a brick. He turned into a brick. Like an actual brick, Molly, or just the ashes got really hard?
I think the ashes just got really hard.
Yeah,
you got to break them up.
I've never had that happen.
Yeah.
Where the ashes get like solid, because usually they're so dry and crumbly. There's no moisture in there to firm them up.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And I've seen ashes that have been sitting around for 40 years and they're still powdery. So no, I've never seen that.
Do you charge cremation by weight, or is everybody the same?
The place I use, they charge, if the person is over 350 pounds, they charge an additional fee.
Okay. Molly said they got hard from sitting on the mantle, so probably just basic house moisture.
House moisture, they probably settled, and kind of firmed up a little bit.
But they should be in a plastic bag inside the container.
Maybe Molly was playing with the ashes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A mouse got in there, made a nest.
Could be. Poor grandpa.
Right.
Oh, well, I guess maybe we should wrap things up. What do you think, Tom?
Yeah.
Any more questions?
That's all I got for now.
Fascinating. I'm sure
It was fair.
People
Hey, and thank you guys for doing a job that like most of us just
anytime.
couldn't even dream of doing that. That is just it's like a special person to be able to do what you guys do.
Yeah, we are a little
we try.
off center. We admit it.
All right. Well, that's all we have time for tonight. Join us next week,
Thank
same
you.
time, same channels. Thanks for coming on, guys. This was absolutely fascinating. Everybody